Hey, welcome back to another For Community Bible Talk for our meeting this coming Sunday, only on Zoom. For Community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. What does God want from you? That's the question I'm exploring today. That's the question the text is exploring today. What does God want from you? You ever notice that there are plastic people in the world? My first youth pastor was an awesome guy, and the one message I got from him was don't be plastic. You know, life is so great, you don't have to fake it. When you're going to church, don't fake it. Don't be plastic. Be real. Be authentic. So the question that I have is, what does God want from you? How can you be an authentic Jesus follower rather than a plastic follower? You know, some churches, some religions, some traditions, they impose stuff on us and say that in order to connect with God, we have to do this. In order to look super spiritual and religious, we have to do that. How can you be an authentic follower of Jesus? I think that our text today, Mark chapter 2, verses 23 to 28, speaks to us about how to be an authentic Jesus follower and what following Jesus looks like for you, and how it doesn't have to look for you the same as it looks for anybody else. I'm going to read the text, Mark chapter 2, verses 23 to 28. One Sabbath day, as Jesus was walking through some grain fields, his disciples began breaking off heads of grain to eat. But the Pharisees said to Jesus, "Look, why are they breaking the law by harvesting grain on the Sabbath?" Jesus said to them, "Haven't you ever read in the scriptures what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He went into the house of God during the days when Abiathar was high priest, and he broke the law by eating the sacred loaves of bread that only the priests were allowed to eat. He also gave them to his companions." Then Jesus said to them, "The Sabbath was made to meet the needs of people, and not people to meet the requirements of the Sabbath. So the Son of Man is Lord even over the Sabbath." Hey kids, please remember, there are characters in the background, and they're going to be going from one side to the other, so keep your eyes in the background, and if you see a character, would you please make sure that when we connect in our Zoom meeting next time that you tell everybody what characters you saw. That's awesome. Here's my point today. I just wanted to keep it really simple. Do you. How do you follow Jesus authentically? How do you know if you're doing the right thing as a Jesus follower? Well, here's a good place to start. Just do you. Yeah, the church and Christians have discovered a lot of ways to connect with God, and they're all wonderful. And we've got some deep and rich history and tradition about the methods that we can use to connect with God. But that doesn't mean they'll all work for you, and that doesn't mean they'll work today. Jesus may have something different in mind for you, and you know what? That's okay. Diversity is okay. You know, and actually here's the thing. If you don't do you, both you and God are left unhappy, because God wants a real, authentic, and personal relationship with you. Not with somebody that you're pretending to be, but with the real you. He doesn't want to connect with your plastic avatar. He wants to connect with the real you. In order to get your head into what I'm seeing in the text here, I think there's 4 things that we need to understand as we're trying to be authentic in our approach to God. So as you're trying to be authentic in your approach to God, you really need to understand these 4 things, I think. And this came out of my own personal devotions. Really, really spoke to me. The first thing that you need to understand is this. Jesus has authority. That is super important. Here's what we see in the text. As Jesus is walking through the grain fields with the disciples, they're hungry, no big deal. They're popping off heads of grains and eating them, no big deal. I mean, I've never had that experience. That doesn't sound fun to me. That doesn't sound appetizing to me. But, you know, I'm not a farmer. They're probably awesome for them. So, okay, whatever. Popping off heads of grain, pretty hungry. That's fine. Honestly, no biggie. But the problem is that it was a really, really big deal for the religious people. It was a big deal for them because they had other plans. They're having a cow in the wheat field because of what these guys are doing. Here's what's really going on. The Pharisees have developed a system of control, a religious system, so they can manage how people connect with God in ways that keep them in power. So in this particular passage, this isn't a healthy way to connect with God. It's a very unhealthy way to connect with God. This is totally a power play on behalf of the Pharisees. Now, here's something else that I don't want you to miss this because it's so vitally important. The law that they're referring to here in this passage, like this is a really big deal to them. So they immediately, because they're slightly slighted, right? They immediately go to a law that has a death penalty to it. So they're saying, listen, what you and your disciples are doing, Jesus, is punishable by death. You're breaking up the religious system, man. You can only connect with God the way we tell you to connect with God, man. So stop it, because what you're doing is punishable by death. Okay, that's extreme, right? That's pretty extreme. But that's what's happening here. Right here begins the subplot of the Pharisees plotting to kill Jesus. And in just a few more passages from now, we're going to see the Pharisees stop directly connecting with Jesus and start to plot with the Herodians to lead to Jesus' crucifixion. This is totally a power play. Wow, man. Doesn't that sound familiar in other places where we find ourselves? We see this in our work environment sometimes. Sometimes people think that they should have or they are more powerful than they actually are. And maybe you have a boss, maybe you have a supervisor or whatever, who's just doing a power play over you and making your life kind of nasty. And for them, it's all about control. For them, it's all about power, and they're pushing you down. We see this in families. Sometimes couples, married couples, they can't figure out how to share power. And one person wants more power than the other, so a system of control is set up. It's just awesome. It's just awful. We also see it in schools sometimes, among teenagers, even among staff, where some people think that they should have more control than others, and so people just get pushed down. Well, Jesus had an awesome reply to all of this, man. Here's how Jesus answers. He tells them that he has authority. He's a boss. He set something in place that was supposed to benefit people and help them to connect with God. And basically, his answer is, if it's no longer working, then it's no longer working, and he's going to change it. Here's what it's saying about you. Do you. Tradition and religious stuff is often put in place by really, really well-meaning people who want to help you grow closer to God and be a better follower of Jesus. It's all awesome, but man, if it's not working for you, it's not working for you. Just do you. What is the best way for you to connect with God? And of course, I mean within normality. I mean within biblical reason, right? What's the best way for you to connect with God? No having gold cows and wheat fields and worshiping idols. That's not within normality. But what's the best way that you can connect with God? You don't have to connect with Jesus the way I do. You don't have to connect with Jesus the way that your neighbor does. You and I have very different personalities. You and I have very different DNA. And if there's anything that I learned in taking personality theory, is I learned this. We're very complicated people, and we do things very differently. We are very, very diverse. We can't do the exact same thing of the way that another person does it, because it just doesn't work that way. So just do you. Stay biblical, which gives you a lot of wiggle room here, and then just be yourself and connect with Jesus authentically. Here's a second thing I think you need to understand. Jesus declares his priority right here in the text, and this is a matter of priority. If you're doing you need to know what the priority is for you just being yourself, for you being authentic. Here's a priority. Jesus' priority is God's mission. God is on mission to be made known through Jesus. And to that mission, he's given the church. And right here, Jesus lets us know that his priority is God's mission. People connecting with Jesus. That's his priority. And you're part of that mission too. While you're doing you and connecting with Jesus the best way that you know how to and authentically, there are also people around you who also need to connect with God, and they need to connect with God a little bit differently than you need to connect with God. So your doing you needs to be somewhat empowering to others as they're doing them, right? So you don't want to be like a Pharisee and exercise some sort of system of power and control over the other people around you. You want to do you and give the grace and wiggle room for others to do them, so that we're all connecting with God the best way that we know how, authentically. The Pharisees didn't allow for any wiggle room at all. It was all about control. You don't have to do that. Everyone connects with Jesus a little bit differently. There's a lot of diversity within the global church. Staying within normality of biblical guidelines, there's still a lot of wiggle room and diversity. Would you please keep this point in mind? God is on mission to be made known through Jesus. To that mission, he's given the church. If you are a follower of Jesus, you're in that church. You are part of the church. So as you do you, find out how you do you in a way that encourages others to do them, in a way that helps them to move closer to Jesus. We are on mission to make God known through Jesus. We have been given to that mission. Here's the third thing I think that we need to understand from this passage. Mission carries authority, not tradition. Tradition doesn't carry authority. Mission carries authority. When the Pharisees confront Jesus about disciples breaking tradition, Jesus points back to the mission when he says that the Sabbath was created for people and not people to satisfy the needs of the Sabbath. The Sabbath isn't just about working. Let's just be clear about this, okay? Let's just define this a little bit, okay? Break it down a little bit. The Sabbath isn't just a day of rest and not working. That's not what this is about. It's kind of like a family dinner or a camping trip or going to the movies with your family. It's kind of like family time. It's a moment when you just rest into the relationships around you. It is rest, but it's resting into the relationships around you to enjoy the presence of each other. Work is put away. The phone is turned off. You're in your jammies, you're in your onesies, you're in your fuzzy slippers, you're eating ice cream and apple pie straight out of the containers, man. This is family time, right? You're just being you, with other people just being them, and you're all transparent with one another. That's the Sabbath. God is on mission to be made known through Jesus. What does that mean in relation to the Sabbath? Well, he wants to know you, and he wants to be known by you, and he wants to spend time with you. That's personal, it's experiential, it's emotional as well. He wants you to know him like you know your very best friend. And he wants that for everyone. Tradition and religion always takes a back seat to mission. God just wants to know you, and he wants to know everyone around you also. So what does this mean for you? Here's what I think it means for you. Excel in the things that grow your relationship with God and grows your relationship with the people around you. Excel in those things. Just let those things that you're not good at, religiously, traditionally, just let those slide for a while. And excel at being you, in the best authentic you that you can be in being a Jesus follower and connecting with other people. Just lean into that. Excel in doing you as a follower of Jesus and helping others around you to do them as their version of authentic followers of Jesus as well. So basically I'm saying love God and love others. That's the thing here. You can't love God so well if you're plastic. You can't love God so well if you're not doing you, right? You can't love God so well, or you can't love others so well if you're not allowing them to be them, right? So be yourself authentically and let others be themselves authentically as well. All within the normality of staying biblical, which isn't very hard. The Bible gives us lots of wiggle room for diversity here. Here's the takeaway. Would you please just do you? Choose a way that's really meaningful for you, that helps you to connect with God and grow as a follower of Jesus. Be authentic. Do you like to pray? Then do it. Do you like to study the Bible? Then do it. Do you like to connect with a lot of people? Then do it. Do you prefer to connect with God alone as you walk through the woods? Then do it. Do you prefer to connect with God praying while you're out fishing? Whatever, then do it. Are you deep? Are you shallow? Do your level, right? We're not stuck. We're going to grow. We're going to change. We're going to have different interests throughout life. Just who are you right now? Bring your whole self to this and just be who you are right now. And don't be under pressure to be somebody else or something that you're not. Start with you. Start with how God made you and what works best for you, and be that kind of follower of Jesus. Be the kind of follower of Jesus that brings your whole self into the task of following authentically. And then help others around you be themselves, or their selves, whichever that word is, as they journey closer to Jesus and become followers too. God made you special, and he loves it when you shine as the person that he made you to be. So, do you. Well, thanks for listening to me all this time. If you don't have a place to connect with yet, and you would like to connect with others as a Jesus follower and grow closer to Jesus, would you please consider connecting with our community at For Community, creating community spaces where we connect with others and also with God. And reach out to me, tag me in a comment on YouTube, and I'll tag you back, and we will set up some kind of Zoom coffee meeting maybe just to connect, and I'll give you the link to one of our next meetings. And that's it from me for now. So until next time, do you, and God bless you. Until next time.